Military members of Reddit, what's one thing you wish that you knew before joining? Duty. I wish I knew that once I got to a ship I would have to spend 2 or 3 nights on board standing 12 hours of watch, in addition to a normal working day. I could handle it if we didn't go underway every couple weeks for up to 2 months at a time, not including deployments. But the lack of being able to plan or really look forward to anything was what drove me to get out. All that shit on TV and you hear about how women love a man in uniform and it'll help you get girls is total bullshit. Most of the time you're stationed in shitholes, looking at you, Oklahoma, and depending on what you do you're usually gone so often it's really impossible to try and maintain a relationship. Me and my boss are perpetually single, largely because of these 2 factors. Still wouldn't take it back though. I have no regrets about joining. That it isn't an exception to other government organizations. Minimal budget with maximum paperwork hurdles. Somehow planes and missiles and bombs get bought daily and often recklessly. But if you want a paperclip you'll have to cry your eyes out only to hear that the allotted budget for office supplies has run out in May. I want to put the disclaimer on what I'm about to say that I've never been in combat or deployed. So what I'm going to say may not be true for people who have been in war. The army is absolutely nothing like Band of Brothers. The close brotherhood between the soldiers in a company, the fight towards a common goal, and the leadership, both officers and co's, wanting what's best for their men is nothing like the army actually is. For me, the biggest of these points that I wish I had known before I joined was about leadership. All too often, leaders are people who can't accomplish anything outside of the army, so they stay in to make a living. A good chunk of them, not saying all of them, aren't even remotely good leaders, and they don't care to be good leaders or good mentors. The only thing they care about is looking like they're good leaders to people who outrank them, and if they're successful at that, then that's good enough for them. That leads to a pretty toxic environment, and the good soldiers who'd actually make good leaders end up leaving after a few years because they don't want to deal with that garbage anymore. And they know they can make something of themselves in the civilian world. That's easily the one thing I wish I knew before joining. Research everything and not rely solely on what my recruiter told me. Don't take the yelling at basic training personally. Even when they single you out, it's not personal. Though we had one swab who was absolute garbage and we did everything in our power to make him quit. He was eventually kicked out a few months after basic. Go to medical when things hurt. Not change your socks. Not ignore it. Tell them it's an 8+ out of 10 on the pain scale or they won't document it. Then when you get out, you can have a valid history and have accountability, versus the VA disregarding your injuries as service related and telling you to pound sand. That you have to go through reception everywhere you go. It is the most boring shit I've ever had to do. Airplanes are in the Air Force. Have a plan for getting out from the moment you go in. I see so many people who hate their job stay in for 20 years because they have no other plans. Have an exit plan ready when you go in, and work towards it. You can have a degree done in 4 years of service, or nothing. If you want to work on aircraft, don't pick crew chief. Choose a job that translates to civilian life. Do more research on what interests you. If you can, talk to people with experience. I was the only one in my whole family tree who joined the army and had no one to talk to. How is the army? What can you do there? What should you consider, and so on. So I go to the recruiter and ask him what I could do in the army. He just tells me, here is a sheet of paper with all the jobs at the army. I looked at it and thought the Marines were good for me. Something with IT. Day of my recruitment comes. I pass all the tests and at the end I have 2 mean looking officers telling me I shouldn't be in the Marines and I look strong and should go Special Forces. Go airborne, son. Sure, I'll do airborne. 1B Special Forces. I went. It was decent. But after a year or so I knew that if I keep staying here and leave the army one day, I have no skills for civilian life. so I wanted to change into an office job doing spy communication. My boss didn't want no special force guy go into an office chair, so he told me that he will not write me a recommendation letter, so I can't get the job. Half a year after that I faked not being able to walk without pain to get out of airborne duty. Then they accepted me leaving earlier. I really loved the army, still in the reserves, just wished that I had some more research before joining. There are so many cool jobs out there, you just need someone from your family or buddies to talk to, or do your research on the internet on things that might interest you. If you want a specific job, do not sign the contract until your recruiter gets that job for you. I wanted a cyber job in the Air Force and my recruiter told me to go and open electrical and hope I get cyber because it would be too long of a wait to be guaranteed that job. I ended up with a job I hated instead. The military will take whatever it wants from you, so make sure you get all you possibly can from it. Wait until the 1st of October at least to join. Don't join in September. Why? Fiscal year starts 10/1, which is also generally when all the good jobs become available. And then get your MOS job. Put in fucking writing in the contract. Your recruiter is there to put asses in seats for whatever branch. He's your bitch, not the other way around. If you want something, have it put in writing. He doesn't necessarily give two shits about you, some do. Most will straight fuck you to make a quota. So don't trust the motherfucker. And don't join in September when all the good shit is gone. Unless you really want to join the infantry and take it from a former infantryman. You don't. Go push paper or turn wrenches or whatever. You'll be happier and have real experience when you get back to the real world. If you get hurt, they don't give a shit about you. That there are some pretty decent people, but a huge amount of idiots and pieces of shit you have to be around all the time. Caffeine in any form is forbidden during basic training. Married soldiers live a very different life than single ones. Living in the barracks, you'll be sharing a room with slovenly idiots, living through frequent inspections, noise when you're trying to sleep, etc. But the 18-year-old kid who marries his high school girlfriend is given a free house to live in, no inspections, no bullshit cleaning the barracks duty. All he has to do is live with an army wife. The barracks ain't so bad. One piece of advice people always give you is embrace the suck. That is, it's gonna suck. Make the best of it. As a kid with your heart set on being a Marine infantryman, that just sounds awesome. You picture the suck in Spartan terms, charging through knee-deep snow, bayonet out, giving a mighty war cry as the enemy cowers in terror at your massive brass balls. Turns out, the suck is having to stay late on Friday because your one SGT forgot that he needs to check the serial numbers on everyone's gear before the weekend. Or spending your weekend mopping the barracks because there's a rumor that the commandant might be on base. Even though there's zero chance he'll be in your room, because why would he be? Or sitting through hours upon hours of government mandated PowerPoints warning you of the dangers of tobacco use, presented by a bored SSGT rocking a lip the size of a golf ball. Every job gets paid the same regardless of glory. Being infantry sucked a lot, but being ordnance pays the same but less suck factor. You rarely see the clerks at the VA due to broken bodies. Mostly combat arms. They all get the same retirement. Don't go into it having a "if I'm good at my job, I'll get recognized for that and promoted accordingly" mindset. The military is not the meritocracy that Hollywood has painted it to be all these years. If you don't play the game and kiss ass, you can be the most knowledgeable guy in your job and it still won't mean dick. It was a very rude awakening for me when I started advancing beyond E3 E4. Run, do push-ups, and do sit-ups, even if you're going into the Air Force. What a colossal waste of time it would be. 11 years being constantly treated like a child, made to clean my room, then later supervising of cleaning of rooms. Special classes every Friday, just to be told not to drink and drive and not to rape anyone. Inventory the same equipment daily, because there wasn't anything else to do. then get yelled at for not knowing our jobs when there was literally no training conducted. There is no mentality of service to our country, honor, courage, commitment has been replaced by paycheck, benefits, retirement. An extra $20,000 isn't worth an extra 2 years of service. Don't take a 6-year contract. Take the 4. Oh, also, volunteering can mean sweeping the sunshine off the pad, or it can mean being the only guy going home early because you're the only volunteer. Edit. Clarity. Thanks for watching. Remember to like and subscribe.